There was a girl in your class who ruined everything by understanding it. She was 11 years old when she explained to a group of her friends, in precise and unasked for detail, exactly how the magic trick worked. The birthday party magician had just made a coin disappear, and the children were delighted, gasping, applauding, living inside the wonder the way children are supposed to. And then she spoke. She had not meant to be cruel. She had simply seen the sleeve, traced the movement, understood the mechanics, and assumed that understanding was what everyone wanted. It was what she wanted. It was all she ever wanted. But the faces of the other children did not light up with gratitude for the knowledge. They fell. The magic was gone. The magician looked at her with a tired expression she would see many times in her life. The look adults give to children who have made the unforgivable error of seeing clearly in a world that runs on pleasant blur. She learned to keep quiet after that, but the keeping quiet did not stop the seeing, and the seeing would cost her more than she could have known at 11. By high school, she had learned the rules. Do not answer every question in class, even when you know. Do not point out the flaw in the plan, even when it is obvious. Do not explain why the relationship will end, even when the pattern is already visible to anyone paying attention. She followed the rules. She performed the acceptable amount of intelligence, enough to succeed, not enough to unsettle. But the performance was exhausting in a way she could not explain to anyone who did not share the affliction. Because the seeing did not stop just because she stopped speaking. She still saw the sleeve. She still traced the mechanics. She still understood how things worked and how they would end. And she carried that understanding alone while everyone around her remained delighted by coins that had not actually disappeared. She is in her 30s now, and she has a name for what she has. She calls it the curse of clarity. Other people fall in love and feel only the falling. She falls in love and simultaneously calculates the odds of lasting, identifies the incompatibilities that will surface in year 2, traces the pattern to its probable conclusion. She does not want to do this. She cannot stop. Other people start jobs with excitement and hope. She starts jobs having already identified the dysfunction in the system, the ceiling she will hit, the specific way this opportunity will disappoint. She is not trying to be negative. Her mind simply does what it does. It follows threads. It recognizes patterns. It sees endings while others are still enchanted by beginnings. And she is tired, not from thinking, from carrying what thinking shows her while pretending to be as enchanted as everyone else. Schopenhauer would have recognized her immediately. He spent his life in the same exile, the exile of seeing too clearly in a world that prefers comfortable blur. He watched people chase desires that he knew would not satisfy them, build lives on foundations he could see were cracked, believe in meanings that his analysis had already dissolved. He was not depressed by temperament. He was depressed by accuracy. He had followed the threads to their ends, and the ends were not what people hoped they would be. Desire leads to satisfaction, leads to new desire, leads to new dissatisfaction, forever, until death. Happiness is not achieved, but only briefly experienced in the gaps between wanting. Meaning is not discovered, but invented, and inventions can be seen through by anyone willing to look closely enough. He looked, he saw, and what he saw made the looking feel like a punishment for a crime he did not remember committing. The girl who ruined the magic trick grew into a woman who cannot stop ruining magic tricks. Not out loud anymore, she learned that lesson, but internally, constantly, automatically. Every system reveals its flaws to her. Every promise reveals its conditions. Every hope reveals its odds. She has tried to turn it off. She has tried meditation, medication, distraction, the deliberate cultivation of ignorance. Nothing works. The intelligence is not a faucet. It does not have a handle. It runs continuously, processing everything, stripping the ordinary illusions that other people use to make life bearable. She watches friends believe things that she knows are not true, and she envies them. She watches strangers excited about futures that her pattern recognition has already flagged as unlikely, and she wants their blindness. She would trade some of her clarity for some of their comfort, but the trade is not available. You cannot unsee the sleeve. The correlation between intelligence and pessimism is not a myth. It shows up in study after study, though the studies only confirm what the intelligent have always known. The ability to see patterns is the ability to see endings. The ability to think in probabilities is the ability to know that most probabilities are not in your favor. The ability to understand systems is the ability to understand that most systems are broken in ways that will not be fixed. These are not choices, they are consequences. The intelligent mind does not decide to be pessimistic. It simply follows threads, and the threads lead where they lead. The optimist is not stupid, but the optimist is often protected by a selective vision that intelligence erodes. The intelligent person cannot choose the selective vision. They are stuck with the comprehensive one, and the comprehensive view includes the sleeve. She sometimes wonders what her life would have been like if she had been born with a different kind of mind. A mind that could watch the coin disappear and simply enjoy the disappearance. A mind that could fall in love without calculating. A mind that could hope without asterisks, believe without footnotes, live inside the story without seeing the structure beneath it. She does not wish she was stupid. She wishes she could choose when to see and when to be blind. But that choice is not available. The clarity is permanent. The curse does not lift. Schopenhauer did not end in despair, though despair would have been understandable. He followed the threads all the way to their ends, and then he looked for what exists after the ends. Something does exist there. Not hope in the cheap sense, the sense that requires ignoring what you know. A different kind of peace. The peace that comes from stopping the fight against reality. The peace that comes from no longer needing the magic trick to be magic, no longer needing the coin to actually disappear. He found something that could survive clarity. He found ground that did not require illusion. The woman who was once the girl at the birthday party is still looking for that ground. She has not found it yet, but she has stopped apologizing for the seeing. She has stopped pretending to be enchanted when the enchantment dissolved years ago. She has started to wonder if the curse might also be a gift, if the same clarity that shows her endings might also show her something that people who cannot see endings will never find. She does not know what that something is, but she knows it will not be hidden in the sleeve. And for a mind like hers, that is where the search begins. Not in the magic, in what remains when the magic is understood,